The difference law enforcement can make with victims of sex trafficking. Welcome, everyone. My name is Susan Patterson, and I am a national leader in the fight against human trafficking. Sometimes we hear from the anti-human trafficking community that it is not right for law enforcement to victimize prostituted people by arresting them, many of whom are sex trafficking victims. We need more perspective on that statement. The fact is that if someone identifies as a sex trafficking victim, law enforcement immediately gets them help by putting them in touch with a nonprofit who will help them. One of the ways victims try to get away from their sex trafficker is to flash the police so they get arrested. The challenge is that many victims of sex trafficking do not identify as victims. In their worlds, selling sex is all they are capable of, so they are resigned to their fate. When they encounter law enforcement, they often curse, spit, kick, and use other maneuvers to protest being arrested. Since they are not acting like a victim, it is confusing for law enforcement, so they are treated as someone who broke the law. However, with training, more and more officers are taking a different approach. In one case, a woman who was tricked by a pimp to become a sex trafficking victim was picked up and was very hostile towards the police. The officer who was talking to her was trying to encourage her to testify against her pimp, who they really wanted. She was having none of it. Then he said to her, "Let me get you some water." Her response was, "I don't need no effing water." He said, "I'm going to get you some anyway." When he came back, he set the water down and looked into her eyes and told her, "You remind me of my daughter." When he said that, something in her just broke, and she began crying because this woman had been very close to her father growing up. However, she was so ashamed of what she was doing that she had been estranged from him for a very long time. Once she was done crying, she told the officer, "If you help me get out of the life, I'll do whatever you want." And she did that and is now married with children and very happy. In another case, a probation officer who was working with a girl who had been trafficked since she was 12 sat down with her, and as often happened, she had been very unhappy with her home life and had ran away. Then she was picked up by a sex trafficker. As she sat with her probation officer, she complained about her home life, what she had been through, etc. He looked at her and shared with her that he had grown up in a rough neighborhood and about all the obstacles he had to overcome. Then he looked at her and said, "What happened to you is in the past. You have a choice about how to live your future life." That statement grounded her. For many, that may sound harsh, and in some ways it was, as this young woman was suffering from PTSD, depression, etc. However, her probation officer got her focused, and she went to work rebuilding her life and took advantage of the therapy she was offered and is now thriving. There are many who want to decriminalize prostitution with the reasoning being that we need to stop criminalizing prostituted people and victims of sex trafficking. The problem is that often the only way victims get away from their sex trafficker is to be arrested. So if we decriminalize prostitution, we leave them at the mercy of their pimp. Rather than decriminalize prostitution, we need to do a better job of training law enforcement, and many anti-human trafficking task forces have taken this on. Law enforcement needs our partnership and support so that together we can end sex trafficking. You can find more videos regarding what you can do to fight human trafficking at our website, throughgodsgrace.com, on the Education Resource tab. Please do support our work by subscribing to this channel and liking and sharing this video and leaving great comments. Thank you for watching.